Does anyone here know what he means by anti-American speech? Because I certainly don't.
By who?
Well, I didn't ask my intelligence division.
You just described him having viewpoints that you disagree with. Again, is that enough to have someone lose their rights in this country?
Let's hop into a very much needed CNN panel as the Trump administration moves to officially revoke a pro-Palestinian student's permanent residency in direct violation of freedom of speech, due process. I mean, multiple constitutional violations here. So take a moment to like this video if you haven't, helps us out a ton, and let's get right into the panel.
You just described him having viewpoints that you disagree with. Again, is that enough to have someone lose their rights in this country?
He has viewpoints that, in my opinion, jeopardize the security of the United States.
But how?
He is obviously a radical who is here to foment.
No, he's not a radical at all.
This is about Mahmoud Khalil, a leading voice in the pro-Palestinian protests at Columbia University, if you remember when those were going on, who was here with a green card on permanent residency with his 8-month pregnant wife, who is a U.S. citizen. He was grabbed at home on the premise that his student visa had been revoked when he informed the ICE officers, hey, he's a permanent resident. He's not here on a student visa. They took him anyway, saying, well, that was revoked too. And despite not being charged with any crimes, notably, he's now lined up to be deported for nothing more than protesting a genocide. It's a gross violation of free speech, which includes the right to protest, and shows how, again, this was never about legal immigration, but population control.
Nobody at this table is condoning anti-Semitism. I think we need to take a step back and realize the implications of what the president has done without due process. On his Truth Social post, he not only referenced anti-Semitism, he referenced anti-American speech. Does anyone here know what he means by anti-American speech? Because I certainly don't. And so leaving that up to President Trump, I think there's a lot of Americans out there who would be pretty concerned about him using his own interpretation of anti-American to do things without due process.
Another important point being made here, as this not only violates the right to free speech, but the right to due process, which all persons in this country have. It's unconstitutional and frankly anti-American. And it is scary to think that Trump can just decide that speech is anti-American and now deport you for that if you're here on a visa or even a legal permanent resident. What if he considers just speaking out against the government or speaking out against him, an executive order or a law that he wants to do, as anti-American speech? You think in history the good guys are the ones who punish dissenting speech or the ones who promoted free speech principles? You know what I think is anti-American speech? Lying about election fraud, inciting a mob to storm the Capitol to help your fake elector plot to steal the election yourself, calling veterans suckers and losers, saying that John McCain is a loser. When can the guy who said all of that get deported if we're doing that for anti-American speech?
He came here on a student visa. He's paid by a terrorist organization that beheads babies.
What evidence do you have of that?
Babies.
Wait.
I have evidence.
So I'm sorry, just to be clear, you're alleging that he's paid by
He's a paid protester.
By who?
Well, I didn't ask my intelligence division exactly who paid for him. But he's being paid by, he's being paid.
That's a pretty explosive allegation. Who is he being paid by?
Can I ask you a question?
No, you said you had evidence. Who is he being paid by?
He's being paid by organizations that are anti-American, that are engaged in nefarious activities. I don't ask my intelligence division to give me...
Then don't come on national TV and say on things. Don't come on national TV.
Do you know who he's being paid by?
I don't, and I'm not alleging that he's being paid.
Are you okay with what he's doing?
I'm not alleging he's being paid by because I don't know.
Are you okay with anti-Semitism?
You are coming on national TV and using this platform.
Look at all the appeals to emotion he has to make through his intuition pumps when he gets called out for just not having any evidence to back up the claim that he voluntarily made himself. He is very clearly lying here. First off, we know the kid was here on a green card, not a student visa. I mean, who cares how he first came years ago? Second, I'm sure it's these mysterious terrorist groups that are paying him. We just can't say their names or prove it because, you know, top secret, highly classified stuff or something, right? Here's the truth. The kid led the Columbia protests where the students wanted Columbia to divest from Israel so their tuition dollars weren't supporting a cause that they didn't support, which is genocide, by the way. Very justified cause to not want to support, which is also about the most American thing you can do. The claim is Hamas propaganda was distributed at the protest, where one, I don't even know how that could be illegal if it was. Two, the Hamas propaganda could just be anti-Israel speech, or it could just even be like saying from the river to the sea or pro-Palestinian speech. And again, they tried to deport him on these grounds without due process, unconstitutional, which is also a scary precedent, and the direct actions of most dictators. Now, we've seen another constitutional right or protection fall under Donald Trump, free speech. I would say due process as well, but we already saw that with trying to revoke birthright citizenship or TPS for Haitians and Venezuelans, and it's like the third or fourth time for that one.